Stay tuned for urban legends to ghostly tales of the paranormal, because now it's time for
Message on the Wall.
This is Message on the Wall and Haunted Cemeteries in Michigan. We begin at Forest Hill Cemetery in Ann Arbor. This cemetery was established in 1857 by the wealthy businessmen of Ann Arbor when the original burial ground, which is now gone, became neglected. The headstones, along with varying shapes and sizes, along with obelisks and other stoneworks, sit in a parkland setting, with the main entrance being on Observatory Street, with a small chapel sitting beside it on the corner of Geddes Avenue. It's a place where old meets the new, with Washington Heights overlooking the wooded cemetery alongside the newer medical centre. The cemetery attracts ghost hunters who have picked up anomalies with sightings of orbs and shadowy figures. The trees also draw wildlife to this setting of what is still a working cemetery. Visitors are encouraged to remain on the paths unless visiting a specific grave. Also prohibited are pets and firearms. Moving on, we go to Northville and the haunted Thayer Cemetery, located at the corner of Napier Drive and 6 Mile Road, with gated entrances off both. Situated out of town, it was named after Rufus Thayer, who once owned the land, and indeed some of those buried there have the Thayer name. The school, situated within the grounds of the cemetery, is said to have an eerie feel, and the place does tend to attract paranormal investigators to thrill seekers. Another haunted cemetery in Northville is the Rural Hills Cemetery, with the turning onto Rural Hill Street going directly into the graveyard, being on 7 Mile West, at around the point of it becoming Fairbrook Street. With its scenic parkland setting of trees and ponds, houses have been built up to its boundary. Several members of the community formed a board of directors, and purchasing the farmland from Major Gorton, who was also a member of the board, established Rural Hills Cemetery in 1885. There is a story that is more an urban legend that says when a car passes a veteran's memorial that the vehicle's engine will die. This is probably better for a daytime investigation in looking to get EVPs, as the property is in the care of the Department of Public Works and is regularly patrolled by police, who tend to issue anyone found on the cemetery grounds with a ticket for trespassing. The graveyard is open from dawn until dusk. Going northeast to Farmington is the Oakwood Cemetery on Grand River Avenue at Farmington Hills. This again sounds more like an urban legend, as it involves vehicles. It's said that if you enter the cemetery by the west gate and go to the bottom of the hill, then place the car in neutral, it will move of its own accord back up the hill. However, this could refer more to the Oakland Hills Memorial Gardens and the entrance to the graveyard on Novi Road, which does have an incline. The 5th cemetery on this tour of haunted cemeteries in Michigan takes us to the Clinton Township. Cadillac Memorial Gardens East was established in 1929. That also features a pet section. The main entrance is on the corner of Garfield Road and Clinton River Road, with a parking lot just inside the entrance. Although there is a railed fence, the graveyard is open on 17 Mile Road and Clinton River Road, where there is another entrance for vehicles. With a parkland setting opening onto wide lawns, the cemetery is so vast that it would be at a great cost to completely fence off, and so the graveyard is accessible at all times. though it is asked that visitors limit themselves to daylight hours, as the office closes at 4:30 p.m. weekdays and 3 p.m. at weekends. Ghostly activity has been witnessed by ground staff, particularly in the Summit Hill Gardens, which is the older part of the cemetery. There is a story that several years ago a man was so grief-stricken at losing his parents that he went to their grave during the night and shot himself in the head, where he was found the next morning. Since then, a ghostly figure has been seen in the area where he died. Visitors often feel they are being watched even during the day, with one of the office staff some years ago resigning after claiming to have seen an Indian walk through the office wall. With whispers and screams that have been heard, this could be an ideal place for EVPs. Going northwards to our last port of call is Bruce in Macomb County and the Goodrich Cemetery. This is a small cemetery on North Kidder Road that is more a dirt track leading off Van Dyke Road. Sadly, some of the headstones have been vandalised. The front of the cemetery appears to be well kept, but further in, among the trees, there are many more that look to be forgotten. Investigations have taken place, but it would be wise to get on the good side of law enforcement and get permission from the police before a nighttime vigil. Photographs taken at the graveyard have produced orbs, smoky images, and shadowy figures. And that is some of the haunted cemeteries in the state of Michigan. You've been listening to Message on the Wall, brought to you by Paranormal X, your website for everything paranormal at www.paranormalx.yolasite.com.